Hello everyone, and I am once again back with a new video amongst all of you, rather with a new film review, and welcome all of you to my channel, Olok's Vlog. So just like all of you know, I am a film buff, a film critic, a film reviewer, and I have the habit of posting film reviews in the form of text as well as audio visuals whenever I watch any classic cinema. So last evening, that is yesterday evening on 6th August 2023, I had the great euphoria of having the opportunity to view the newly released Hollywood biographical thriller genre cinema, that is film Oppenheimer, uh, directed and written by great or legendary filmmaker Christopher Nolan. And obviously, perhaps it is known to all that this film is made on the backdrop of the World War II and chronicling basically the life history of great theoretical physicist of the United States, J. Robert Oppenheimer, who is often termed as the father of atomic bombs. So obviously the plot is very interesting. Obviously it's based on a true story. The biographical sketch of J. Robert Oppenheimer has been sketched right from his early days, that is during the days of his studies, then about his association with the different universities, top class universities of the world, his research on atomic bomb when he was given the offer to work on the famous Manhattan Project and to make the atomic bomb. And finally, it resulted in the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the United States during the World War II in 1942. And it really changed the entire scenario of world history, especially the war scenario. And very beautifully, the screenplay has been taken up in this film by Christopher Nolan while projecting the catastrophic effects of World War II, especially the disastrous consequences of nuclear weapons or the atomic bombs upon the mankind has been pretty much beautifully and majestically and meticulously have been portrayed in this film through the eyes of J. Robert Oppenheimer, who had to pass through a mental trauma after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and after being labeled as the father of atomic bomb. In spite of getting all the recognitions as the father of atomic bomb, he had to pass through that mental trauma or that traumatic phase. In fact, the ghastly scenes of the atomic attack or the massive fatalities or the large-scale implications of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki started haunting him. And that is the story is all about. So absolutely majestic, meticulous, pristine and immaculate sort of visual grammar has been extensively used by Christopher Nolan, the great Christopher Nolan, who has the legacy of making the great films like Insomnia, than the likes of Interstellar also. So he once again proved his mettle that why he is so great. And his impeccable portrayal of power by means of the character of Oppenheimer, J. Robert Oppenheimer in this film, must have corroborated to be a mind-boggling viewing experience on the part of the captive audiences inside the movie theaters. I must cite as a film reviewer and critic as well as a movie buff and ardent cinegoer. I literally got enthralled, enchanted, and spellbound by means of watching this film Oppenheimer, as already stated, the plot of which centers around the World War II and the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the United States in 1942. And the kind of visual grammars like such as jump cuts, the extensive use of jump cuts right throughout the film, while elaborating the story and fabulous or splendid storytelling technique, the narrative storytelling technique that was adopted right throughout this film was absolutely awesome and a mind-boggling experience to watch, or rather a treat to the eyes. And a kind of very much minimum use of computer-generated imagery, which is often considered as the stylistic signature of Christopher Nolan, and also the extensive use of black and white photography while projecting the story or the plot was absolutely a treat to watch. And the most important part is that by means of the character or the biographical sketch of Robert J. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan managed to portray or depict the horrors of the World War II, especially the large-scale implications and the massive fatalities of the atomic bombing, and also about the disastrous consequences of the atomic weapons or the nuclear weapons he could project. And it was absolutely breathtaking to watch, because it is very interesting to see that by means of just the central character of the film, he projected such a serious issue in such a pristine, meticulous and majestic demeanor. So what I'm trying to state is that as a film critic, it was really a treat to watch because the kind of psychic turbulence or the mental trauma which Oppenheimer had to pass through after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and when he was regarded as the father of atomic bomb, and it was depicted by means of a superb screenplay and cinematography, and by means of extensive use of visual grammars like jump cuts, then the black and white photography in between by Christopher Nolan in a very, very majestic way. And that's where the film veritably corroborates to be a classic one. And that's really the hallmark of a great filmmaker like Christopher Nolan, or of a legendary filmmaker like Christopher Nolan, to portray a serious issue by means of just one character and in such a beautiful way, without even using the computer generated imagery, by means of using simple visual grammar and by means of simple photography, or the simple visual art, rather I should say, state as a film connoisseur or as a film critic. So I was really ecstatic and elated and euphoric and at the same time mesmerized and to watch this movie, Oppenheimer, on the life of Robert J. Oppenheimer, the father of atomic bomb, the great theoretical physicist of the United States of America. And it was really a breathtaking experience on the part of me. And what I enjoyed or relished, or rather what was an intellectually thought-provoking aspect on the part of me as a film critic, right, for the film is one of the haunting scenes. As already stated, Christopher Nolan was pretty much mentally traumatized after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and after being labeled as the father of atomic bomb, and those costly effects of the atomic bombing or the World War II, that is the massive destructions and the large-scale fatalities, started haunting him, or started floating in front of his eyes time and again. So as already stated, in one of the haunting scenes, if you have seen this movie, you will find that after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Robert J. Oppenheimer was addressing a crowd in Los Alamos who were celebrating the bombing. And then suddenly, those haunting memories started troubling him, and the ghastly effect of the atomic bombing was portrayed on screen by means of showing a peeling skin of a girl from amongst the audiences. So that was the projection of the horror of the atomic bombing, and by means of these haunting scene, Christopher Nolan was trying to convey a strong message to the audiences about the possible disastrous consequences or the catastrophic effects which can have upon the mankind by means of having the nuclear weapons. What I'm trying to say is that by means of that haunting scene, that is especially by the shot of the peeling skin of that girl in that particular scene, Christopher Nolan was disseminating a very, very strong message to the audiences that nuclear weapons or the atomic bombs can have such disastrous or horrible consequences upon the mankind. And also by means of portraying the association of Robert J. Oppenheimer with the great scientists like Albert Einstein and many of the top scientists during his contemporary period from the world of theoretical or quantum physics, that the main theme, that is the disaster of nuclear weapons for the mankind or humanity, was projected in such a beautiful way. And also what I liked about the other visual grammars, like the close-up shots of the face of the character of Robert J. Oppenheimer, which was portrayed by Cillian Murphy, while exhibiting some of the important aspects like his homesickness. In the story, it is written that he was homesick during his early days of study and in Cambridge. Then those homesickness or the kind of anxieties while doing his doctoral research have been portrayed in a pretty majestic way by means of using the close-up shot, or rather the tight close-up shot of the face of the character. So these sorts of simple visual grammars, but very, very effective one, have been done in a very, very majestic way by great Christopher Nolan. So once again, I would like to say that my review will be positive as a film critic and reviewer for this film, Oppenheimer, the biographical thriller film released in the year 2023, the American biographical thriller chronicling the life history of Robert J. Oppenheimer, the great physicist and the father of atomic bomb, and about the depiction of the horrors of the World War II, especially of the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and about the disastrous effects which nuclear or atomic weapons or bombs can have upon the mankind, have been depicted pretty well through the eyes of one character, that is Robert J. Oppenheimer. And the kind of visual grammars, cinematography, screenplay, camera work, even without the use of computer-generated imagery, have been done in an exceptionally exquisite and phenomenal way by Christopher Nolan, who has the legacy of making the great films like Insomnia and the likes of Interstellar. So another feeder in the already rich cap of Christopher Nolan. So hats off to the team of Oppenheimer and Christopher Nolan, and hope to see some other classic and majestic and brilliant cinematic productions from Christopher Nolan in the future. So on that note, let me wind up for tonight with some new videos and with some new film reviews. I'll be back once again. So before winding up, I would like to once again say that gem of a cinematic production, it was Oppenheimer, the biographical thriller saga depicting the serious issue of the disastrous consequences of atomic weapon or nuclear weapon upon mankind through the by means of just one character, through the eyes of one character, thanks to some brilliant visual grammar used, and especially the haunting scene which was shown, depicting the after effect of the nuclear bombing, was absolutely a breathtaking experience, and it must have been an edge of the seat thriller on the part of the captive audiences while robbing their filmaholic pair of ophthalmic apparatus over the cinematic silver screen. So once again, a positive review will emanate from my psychic and intellectual apparatus. And on that note, let me wrap up this video for tonight with some new videos. I'll be back once again. And before winding up, I would like to once again appeal to all of you to please like, comment, share, and subscribe my channel, Alok's Blog. And once again, a big appreciation or praise for Oppenheimer, the biographical thriller movie, American biographical thriller movie by great Christopher Nolan. So hats off to the team of Oppenheimer and Christopher Nolan. So on that note, good night all of you, and bye-bye, and please subscribe my channel, Alok's Blog. Bye-bye, and love you all.